With 323 out, or I should say 323.1, comes with a lot of changes. I covered the UI changes in a previous video, but now it's time to look at what they did with weapon recoil. If you guys didn't know, CIG implemented a procedural recoil system that's supposed to make it more realistic, sort of like Rainbow Six Siege. For this experiment, I chose 3 commonly used guns to test the changes: the P4AR, the PA SMG, and the Custodian SMG. And I'll be firing against the wall with no attempt to control the recoil to see the recoil pattern. It took some time to find a surface that showed bullet decals on impact to see the pattern, but I did eventually find one, at least for 2 of the 3 guns. But without further ado, let's begin, starting with the P4 Assault Rifle. As you can see, the gun goes up and to the right until about halfway through the mag where it changes to the left. So what does it look like in 323? Interestingly, it doesn't look that much different. Keep in mind that the P4 mags got 10 extra bullets in them, so the recoil pattern is a bit longer. It's procedural though, so I did it a couple more times. One thing I didn't notice until I started editing this video is that they also remodeled the entire gun. Now let's look at the P8. I couldn't find a surface that showed bullet decals, so I can only eyeball the recoil pattern, but it looks like it goes straight up, it then drifts to the right until it levels out and goes to the left. Fortunately for 323, the bullet impact did show up so I can see the recoil pattern, and if you notice, they also changed the iron sights, which I think is an improvement over the old design. Some of the bullet impacts didn't show up on the wall, so all the spray patterns are kinda incomplete, but as you can see, the differences between each other are more obvious. And lastly, the Custodian. CIG specifically talked about laser weapons in an ISC episode a couple months ago, addressing criticism of laser recoil, and I don't disagree with their opinion. I think recoil is necessary for them to feel more like guns and less like the multi-tool from No Man's Sky. So immediately you'll notice that there's less bullet spread compared to 322, resulting in a more linear recoil pattern, so headshots should be easier to hit now. And of course, the iron sights look much better after the update compared to before. So after testing all 3 weapons, it seems like the recoil patterns between patches look similar, which is kinda surprising, but there are variations. To see how random it is, I decided to overlay all the recoil patterns together to see the variations. Although, I regret not doing more testing and firing more bullets in 322, because I thought the difference would be more obvious. But nevertheless, here's the 2 recoil patterns overlaid on the P4 in 322, followed by the first 2 recoil patterns in 323. And here's the recoil pattern from 322 overlaid with one from 323. And just for fun, I overlaid all 7 recoil patterns of the P4 in 323. For the PA SMG, I can only show after the patch because, again, I couldn't see the recoil pattern in 322. And finally, the Custodian, which I also regret not doing more testing with. Here's one from 322 overlaid with 323. And just for fun, I overlaid all the Custodian recoil patterns from 323 together. Also tested to see if they did anything with the hipfire spread, but only with the P4. Doesn't seem like much has changed. Okay, so it turns out there are a lot more changes than I expected, starting with the recoil. I wish I had tested this with more guns, but unfortunately I didn't have enough time to do that. From my observation though, the recoil changes, at least for the ballistic weapons, were kinda underwhelming. The spray patterns for both the P4 rifle and P8 SMG were for the most part identical compared to the previous patch. And this procedural recoil system didn't seem that much different compared to the old system in 322. I mean, the P8 may have a lot more horizontal recoil, but I couldn't tell. Now this may have been the case earlier in the PTU, but perhaps maybe due to player feedback, they decided to tone it down or scrap it altogether. The Custodian though, major difference. The amount of bloom on the Custodian made it really hard to hit precision shots, especially with the god-awful iron sights. Unfortunately, I don't know if this applies to other energy weapons as well, or just the Custodian. Of course it's not realistic to mag dump your gun, unless you're trying to open a door, but perhaps the changes are limited to energy weapons, who knows? What I didn't expect were the changes to the weapon models. Like I said earlier, I didn't notice they were remodeled until I started editing this video. But not all is lost though. I went through my old videos and found some old clips of guns in a decent enough quality that I can use them for comparison, starting with the C54 submachine gun, the R97 shotgun, BR12 shotgun, the FS9 LMG, the GB33 grenade launcher, the Animus rocket launcher, and the Scourge railgun. I understand that some of these clips and gun models are from much older patches, but it is what it is. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe and ring that bell, especially since I'll be doing more videos about the newest patch in Star Citizen. And let me know what you think about these changes in the comments below. And if you want to know what's happening in the next upcoming patch in Star Citizen and what we can expect, then I highly recommend you watch this video right here.